going on, guys? Matt with MotoWorks here, and in this video we have a real quick one for you. We don't have to spend a lot of time to show you how to change the oil on a G310R, so I just figured I'd throw a quick video together for you guys. Now we're going to go over the tools that we need to do this job. Alright, so the tools we're going to need for this, 3/8 ratchet. We'll need an 8mm Allen socket, a 12mm 6-point or 12-point socket, a 3-inch extension, pair of gloves because we're dealing with oil, a funnel, the approved oil and oil filter, and I'll attach a link in the description below for those. And then I'm trying to make this easy for you guys. You don't necessarily need an oil pan. These do not hold a lot of oil, so just an approved pan will work. Just don't let my wife know. This is optional, but I've always warmed the bike up before I start an oil change. Now the first thing we want to do is remove the skid plate, and there's just 4 12mm lock nuts on there. So we'll just remove that.
I'm awesome. I'm driving around in my mom's ride. I'm awesome. A quarter of my life gone by, and I met all my friends online.
Alright guys, now with the skid plate removed, we now have access to the oil filter. We have access as well to the drain bolt. The drain bolt is located on the left side of the motorcycle. All we're going to do is we're just going to remove that drain bolt, and we're going to remove the oil filter and just let that oil drain out. Now one thing you can do is you can put the motorcycle on its side stand. This is a little bit higher there where the drain plug is, so if you put it on the side stand, it might get a little bit of extra oil out. Just a quick tip for you guys. Okay, now while the oil is draining, one quick thing to mention is this little hose right here. This hose is actually attached to the water pump weep hole, and if you see coolant coming out of this hose, it may be time to replace the water pump seals or the water pump on the bike. So it's something you want to look for when you're doing your oil change. But it looks like this oil is pretty much slowed down to a drip, so we're going to first take a look at the drain plug. One thing to note about these drain plugs is they are magnetic, so they will catch any type of metallic debris, whether it's transmission or otherwise. So keep an eye on that. Make sure there's not a lot of metal buildup on there. Some metal buildup, like about that, is normal. A little bit more than that is normal. But if you're getting excessive metal on that plug, it may be a sign of bigger issues. So that's just one thing you want to keep an eye on. And when we put the drain bolt in, we want to make sure that we replace that drain plug washer with a new one. And then we'll tighten that down. I'll include a torque spec in there for those playing at home. All right, when we install the oil filter, we want to make sure that we have a little bit of oil around the O-ring, and make sure that the O-ring is on the old filter and not on the engine before we install the new oil filter. Spin it on. Now there is a torque spec to this, but I've always had good luck just going nice hand tight. As tight as you can make it is tight enough. They usually don't have any problems. All right, now the owner's manual calls for a 1.7 quarts. So that's about what we have there in our oil jug. So we'll just unscrew the oil cap, which is located on the right side of the bike. And we'll just fill that up with the recommended amount, and then we'll go ahead and check it before we start the bike. All right, so once we're done filling that up, we want to just screw that cap back on. And then when you come over to the left side of the bike again, make sure the bike is upright. All right, it's standing up straight. It's okay. The oil is a little bit above the full mark. We're going to run the bike, and then that oil will circulate through the oil filter, and then that level should go down a little bit. So we have oil in, the new filter's on. Let's go ahead and fire up the bike. All right, so once we make sure that the oil level's good, make sure there's no leaks, we check around, make sure that there's no leaks, then we will go ahead and put the skid plate on. One thing that I want to mention with the skid plate is it goes into these rubber bushings. And you want to make sure that those rubber bushings are tight before you put the skid plate on. All right, as long as they're tight, we can put that skid plate on. So you can do a double check, take the bike for a ride, recheck that oil level, make sure that it's again right between the minimum and maximum. As long as that stuff looks good, job well done. Like the video, leave a thumbs up, and comment below for any future videos you guys want to see. Again, I'm Matt, this is Motorworks. I gotta get this back before...
You know where my
I gotta
baking
go
pan is?